Okay, everyone, the next thing I'm going to do in this PC build. So yesterday, before I went or before I went to the gym, I put this part together. The processor, the motherboard, and the graphics card and the SSD in here, the Samsung Evo, are already inside the motherboard. And I installed the motherboard onto my Thermaltake case. So now what we're going to do is install the cooler, this all-in-one water cooler. So the first thing I got to do is put the fans, install the fans onto this radiator, and then mount the cooler the way I think, or the way I want it to get mounted. For number one, to route these wires right here. I wish it was just one big fan that was just one wire, but you have three of these ring fans, RGB fans, that you have to install onto the radiator. And then from there you got to install this water block, the cooler, onto the CPU. So but first thing we're going to do is put all the fans on first, and then maybe mount it and see how I want it onto the case and the motherboard before I start to install this water block, or the actual cooler itself, or the water block, onto the processor. Okay, so I got all the fans installed onto the radiator, and I got the radiator installed onto the top bracket of the case, because it's going to go up here. So it's going to be mounted from the top, and then that way these wires here from the fan, I can route the wires either in these little holes right here for the fans, or these grommets right here. But most likely they're probably gonna get routed here in the back on these holes right here. So now it's the most important part, to mount the cooler onto this Ryzen Threadripper right here. So the first thing we do when mounting this CPU, the water block, onto the processor, is I had to clean out the thermal paste that came with this water block, so I can put my own. And we're gonna add this thing right here, Thermal Grizzly Cryonaut. I got this off Amazon. I think it was around $11 at the time. And from reading a lot of reviews online and on YouTube about what is the best thermal grease, thermal paste, this one came out a lot on top. This one, and there was another one. So this is the Thermal Grizzly one. So we're gonna put this onto the processor. Okay, so I opened the package, and let's see what we get. This little tube right here, which should be good for a few uses, I guess. And I think there was an instruction leaflet. Yeah, you get this instruction leaflet piece of paper, and you also get this you get this spatula right here, so you can spread the thermal paste onto the processor. So I'm going to read this, and then I'm going to put it onto the processor, and then I'm going to install this. All right. Okay, folks. So I opted for the spatula method, and that thermal grizzly is almost like cement, and so it's hard to spread it out with the spatula. Hopefully this is good enough, because I don't want my processor to overheat. So hopefully that should be good enough. That's as good as I can spread it with that little spatula. So let's cross our fingers and hope that's good enough. Now let's connect the water block onto the CPU. So here we are. The water block is mounted onto the CPU. The radiator is mounted onto the case. And I like how these cables are sleeved. They're for the water supply. All of the Thermaltake wires are all sleeved. But now I'm covering up the RS sign right there. So I'm going to fix up the wiring pretty soon after I install this power supply. So let's get to it. Okay, folks, so we got the PSU mounted onto the case, and now it's time to hook everything up. And then from there, we're going to do our first power on check and boot up, and then installing the operating system. So there's a lot of reviews that on this there was a lot of reviews on this Thermaltake case that said it should have came with a power shroud or a power supply shroud, but I think Thermaltake didn't put the power supply shroud there for a reason, because if they did, and then you wouldn't be able to see your LEDs right here on this LED power supply. I think Thermaltake intended for you to use their power supplies with their cases. That's what I think. But anyways, it's time to start wiring everything up, hooking everything up, and then do a power on check, and then try to install the operating system onto the SSD. Hopefully that'll go good, and then hopefully I get everything installed. So that is it. Okay guys, so I got everything hooked up. The computer is hooked up to my monitor right here, and keyboard's hooked up. So I just turned the power supply on. This we're gonna hit this button right here for the power and see if she boots up. Look at that. Beautiful. Okay, there's the beep. Let's go to the it says reboot and select proper boot device, or insert boot media in selected boot device. So this is where I have to go into the BIOS, and there's something I had to do. I forgot. I was watching this video. I had to put it on like see something support or something like that. It's not CMOS. It's some other stuff. So we're gonna end this right here for now, so I can figure out what settings in the BIOS to make it boot from the Samsung flash drive. So we'll see you guys in a bit. Before I put my side panels, the tempered glass panels, back on, let's take a look inside real quick. So as you guys can see, everything is LED'd, RGB'd, even my video card. the fans. I have 2 fans here. I can put another one. You can put like 3 of these. Here's the fans in the front. And then the back is not the best wiring job in the world, but I was in a hurry. And plus, I didn't want to make the wiring all neat until I found out things were proper. So now that I know everything's connected and it powers on, I'll probably clean that up a little bit. And then here it is from the back, as best as I could show you. The top, you should see the RGB fans up here on the top. For the radiator. And yeah, that is pretty much it for that. So now I'm gonna put the panels back on and then figure out in the BIOS how to boot it from the flash drive, the Samsung drive. And because I think they're still looking for a hard disk instead of the flash drive. That's what the BIOS is doing. So I got to put it in the settings to get it to boot off the flash drive, and then I'll install Windows. So wish me luck, and we'll see you again soon. So here's my computer case with the side panels back on, and I'm going to put it real close to the back right here. You can barely hear anything. It's so quiet. It's so much more much more quiet or quieter than my laptop is right now because of its fans. And it was way more quiet than my other gaming PC that I had before. It was in a Cooler Master Sniper case, and it's super quiet. So this is the default lighting, I guess. And right there on the ring fans for the radiator. At this default setting, I'm pretty happy how it is, but Gigabyte has software for the motherboard, and so does Thermaltake, and so does Zotac, to control the lighting and everything like that. So, you know, you can customize it, make it your own, but out of the box by default. And also the Corsair memory right there has a software for it. But all in all, it's pretty good. I wish there was only like one type of software that you can use to control everything. I'm pretty sure there is, but I don't know what it is right now. So yeah, this is nice. I like this. Even at default, it's already at default. I guess it goes through the whole cycle of colors and rainbow cycle of colors. I don't know, but it's nice. I like it. Okay, so time to figure out the boot, how to put the BIOS into the boot Samsung drive and install Windows.